When it comes to some narcissistic people, they would rather play happy families with their new supplies children than take care of their own children. Some narcissistic people will happily discard their own children. Discard means to get rid of something that they no longer find of use to them. So just why do some narcissistic people discard their own children and then seemingly take care of children that aren't their responsibility? And the thing is, one of the most confusing things about this is a narcissist wants to control the image to those around them, which leaves the parent of the narcissist's children confused. It often leads to a mass smear campaign where other people think the parent of the narcissist's children who's taking care of those children is the issue, and the narcissist who's no longer willing to see or spend time with or support their own children isn't the issue. Narcissistic people want to influence what other people think of them, and they want to influence people in a manner that works in that narcissist's favour. When it comes to some narcissistic people, they are extremely neglectful. So they will fail to care for their children's emotional well-being. They will fail to care for their children's emotional needs. Now, this isn't a parent that's just a little bit stressed, a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit overworked, that's just had enough for one day. This is a parent who will happily spend most days sat ignoring their own children, who fails to turn up at events unless they can put on that grandiose act to gain a supply of attention. They only turn up to the things they're interested in turning up to. This is the parent who is not there for their children physically. They don't physically support their children. They're not physically around for their children. They're very unwilling for the hugs and the support with their children, only for the photos that they can plaster on social media to paint out that they're a genuine person when they're not. This is the narcissistic parent that's most likely to fail to care financially for their own children. They're not going to take responsibility for not providing for their children financially. Oh no, to a narcissist, that's going to be somebody else's fault. So to escape taking responsibility for the fact that they're neglecting their own children financially, they're going to blame it all on the ex who is supporting their children financially. And the worst thing about this is people buy into it, people believe it. People excuse it. People believe that it's okay for somebody not to financially support their own children because the narcissist is rationalising and justifying it when there is no rationalisation or justification not to support your own children. When it comes to narcissistic people, they can have their own children and they can move on to somebody new, seemingly forgetting that their own children exist, yet going out on a daily basis to events with the new supplies children, turning up to the new supplies children's sporting activities, taking the new supplies children to the park while neglecting their own. And this is all done to influence the new supply into believing that the narcissist is a genuine and is a caring person, to gain the admiration, to gain the support. All the while, the narcissist will be telling the new supply how the ex is bitter, the ex is jealous, the ex won't allow them to see the children, the ex is being awkward, to excuse the fact that the narcissist is making life as difficult as possible for the ex, or simply not bothering to see their own children. They're neglecting their own children. But they're not going to be honest about this. They're going to be incredibly dishonest about this to gain sympathetic attention from those around them. So it's a win-win for a narcissist. They're gaining the admiration by being around there for the new supply's children, and they're gaining the sympathetic attention by abandoning their own children, yet blaming somebody else. Narcissistic people are looking to pass responsibility over to somebody else for their toxic behaviour, so they don't have to take responsibility for their toxic behaviour. And if they can gain sympathetic attention by doing so, they will go all out to. Narcissists tend to lack a thing called object consistency, which is usually developed between the age of 2 and 3, or by the age of 2 and 3. Meaning that when there is conflict, when there is distance, when there's difficulties, that they still care about that person. So when it comes to a narcissist, they may know better parents than they do partners. People are a supply to them, a supply to be used to exploit other people, or a supply to gain attention, a supply to gain belonging. So a narcissist will use the new supply's children to gain admiration while smearing an ex. They will use neglecting their own children to gain sympathetic attention by smearing their ex. They're not looking to take responsibility. And because they lack object consistency, when there is that distance, they simply forget about their own children. They don't care about their own children. Their own children aren't within their thought process of such, only how they can use their own children or use the new supply's children to influence people, to sell people an illusion of the character that that narcissistic person is trying to sell. And just because on the outside world it all looks good, they don't change who they are on the inside. When they cannot be there for their own children behind closed doors, once they've got the feet under the table, they are not going to be there for the new supply's children. Only the new supply can often be in that state where they don't want to lose face, where they don't want to damage their ego, they don't want to damage their reputation. So the new supply is often going to try and fight to prove that the ex was the issue and not the new supply, because the narcissist will have fed the new supply a load of lies about how that the new supplies really help them, and the new supply is different, and the new supply believes that if they just hold on a little bit longer it'll all be okay. And the new supply is then trying to save their reputation, save their persona to the outside world, because they've been dragged into a scenario with the narcissist and often enabled the narcissist to paint out the ex as the bad person. And once they're in too deep, they recognise that it wasn't actually the ex. So some new supplies will go all out to keep the facade going. Narcissistic people want to control the image so that they can control what other people think, so that the narcissist can get away with not being there for their own children while blaming somebody else, so that the narcissist can gain sympathetic attention. And the best way to do this is to be there for the new supply's children, so it looks like they're really caring and really loving and really giving, when actually they're extremely neglectful, and they are simply using the new supply's children as leverage to advantage what other people think of the narcissist and what other people think of the ex. So the narcissist can justify them not seeing their own children or not being there very often for their own children by blaming somebody else, while selling the illusion that they are genuine and that they would be there if they could be there. So they get the admiration and they get the sympathetic attention. It's very difficult for most people to get their heads around why somebody would be there for somebody else's children and not be there for their own. So we can easily believe the lies that the narcissist is telling us because we can't recognise the entirety of the situation. Now, not all narcissists are like this. Some will go all out to gain custody of their children. Some narcissistic people will go all out once they've got the foot in the door to bring their children around all of a sudden, to suddenly see their children, to cause that conflict, to play the groups of children off against each other, to treat one set better than the other set, to create the scapegoat and the golden, depending on who's giving the narcissist the attention, to punish the new supplies children if the new supplies children haven't conformed, or to punish their own children if their own children aren't conforming by treating the new supplies children better than their own in front of their own. There's various dynamics that play into this, and there's various different personality types of narcissistic people, and there's various different characters they're trying to withhold within that community, within that environment. So it all depends on the individual narcissist. But a narcissist would rather play happy families with the new supplies children than take care of their own for the narcissist's own gain, to sell a character to people, to influence people into admiring or showing sympathetic attention to the narcissist, while the narcissist blames another person for why they're not taking responsibility for the things they should be taking responsibility for, which include not taking responsibility for their own children. It's incredibly difficult because we are born into a society where we believe that mummy and daddy stay together and raise children, or in an ideal world that is what we'd like. In an ideal world we'd like our children to have their mummy, we'd like our children to have their daddy around for them, supporting them. We have our own ideals within our own minds, and when it's not matching our reality, especially a reality that the narcissist once sold to us, it's very difficult to grasp the concept of what is now actually happening. However, we have to change the narrative within our mind to help us. We have to recognise that it's no better for those children if the narcissist is willing to treat their own children in a neglectful manner. It's worse for other people's children. Eventually the narcissist sees other people's children as an inconvenience, and if feelings of shame crop up, they can punish the new supplies children for what the narcissist is doing to their own children. So it's no better or no worse for the new supplies. Sometimes it can be worse. We have to recognise that, as awful as it sounds, it is better for our own children if their neglectful mother or if their neglectful father isn't around neglecting them, isn't around confusing them, isn't around playing them off against others. When it comes to defending yourself, you don't need to defend yourself. We can get drawn into proving to others our character, into trying to save our reputation, into trying to save face with those around us, when those around us aren't really important. The ones who are important are those who are the closest to us, and it's what they think that matter. It's what our children think that matter. By being there for them, by supporting them, by caring for them, by teaching them the life skills of how to deal with pain, how to deal with toxic people. When it comes to outsiders, no dare. Do not defend yourself to outsiders. The narcissist has already got in there with a narrative where whatever your defense is going to work in the narcissist's favour. Don't argue with people. If they don't want to see your point of view, or if they want to twist it to try and make you feel worse, leave them to it. They don't care. You do not need to argue your point. Don't rationalise it with people. There's no need to justify with people. If they don't want to understand something, that's on them, not you. Focus on those you care for. and don't explain it to outsiders. It's none of their business. They're just being nosy because things aren't going that well in their life, that they're seeking to gossip about you. Let them gossip. Know your own truth. Explain to children the best you can on their age and their awareness. Explain to children, help children, but outsiders, leave them to it. At some point, the narcissist reveals themselves, just like the narcissist sold you a character of who they could be and then revealed themselves. They're selling other people that character, so other people don't see that toxic side of the narcissist. When the narcissist isn't getting what they want, when they're not getting the supply of attention they need, they will reveal themselves to those people. Some people are going to cling on tight to the illusion through the trauma bond. Some people are going to cling on tight through the illusion, through false hope. And some people are going to cling on tight to save face, save their own reputation. That's on them. We've all been through stuff that perhaps we'd rather prefer not to have been through. We've all been through painful scenarios in our life, and it's on us how we deal with it, how we recognise it, and how we process it and move forward with it. So a narcissist would rather play happy families with the new supplies children than take care of their own, because it's all about the character they're trying to sell to others. It's all about the illusion they're selling to others to influence how people perceive them, to work in the narcissist's best interest, so that the narcissist doesn't have to take responsibility for their own behaviour by simply passing responsibility for their toxic behaviour over to somebody else. If anyone has any thoughts on this video, please do add those into the comments. Thank you very much to all the returning subscribers and your continued support with the channel. It's greatly appreciated. If you are new to the channel, this channel is all about narcissistic behaviour to give you more understanding of the people you might be dealing with within your life, how to handle yourself around those people if you cannot go no contact, and different methods to find what works for you to help you understand and overcome narcissistic and emotional abuse. If you do find the information helpful on the channel, then please do subscribe. If you are looking for further help and support in understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, I do have several online guides available, and those teachable links are in the video description. If you're looking for someone to speak to, I have partnered with BetterHelp, and their sponsored link is also in the video description. Go out there and create the day that you deserve, because you do deserve to have an amazing day. Bye.